Okay.
Good evening. This is WTFU America. I'm Tom Horazzo. Alongside with me, I have a very, very special, I can't even say a guest, right? Because you guys know who she is.
Hey, all. Good to be here.
Just fresh off the plane. Not how many hours now? Not even a day yet, right?
Not even a day.
Now, and unfortunately, Jizo's not in because, he works, black transporter. When the phone rings, he's got to go. So hopefully he'll be joining us either via WhatsApp or he'll be coming in soon. So I want to say real quick salute to the Hun Gang, of course, as usual. Thanks, Chantel, for being in here. First show together in the flesh. It really feels good. I'm glad that you're in. We finally get to interact better. I know it's tough, the delay that we have to deal with.
And it felt so familiar when we met last night, didn't it? Like meeting you and Jesus, like just meeting family.
Right. We've seen each other's faces. We've heard each other's voices.
Yeah.
We're in constant communication, always through WhatsApp, sharing ideas and talking about, the news and trying to pick out really, because we do a weekly show, it is difficult, to pick, to find the right balance, of what we want to talk about, So hopefully we'll get Jizo in here soon. I'm watching my phone to make sure he calls up. We'll see. But the door's open. His microphone's set up. His channel is armed. So Cliff Bravo, what up? Salute. Thanks for joining us. So we got a couple things. We're going to go a little longer than usual. We missed, yesterday? Yesterday was our normal slot, and I didn't even let Rich know. I feel bad about that. I didn't even let Rich know. I'm listening to Rich's show last night at work, and he's like, yeah, WTFU. Right, so I'm listening to his morning show.
Right.
And he's like, WTFU's coming on tonight. And I'm like, oh shit! I never let him know that we weren't gonna be on.
But that shows that Rich wasn't listening to us last week.
Yeah, Rich is a busy guy, So I think luckily we had told everyone that I think we pretty much let the whole audience know.
Yeah.
That so I think everyone had an idea. But yeah, so today we got a couple things going on. I want to jump right into it because I don't know where Say is gonna or Jizo rather, Jadon as he also as he's known, where he's gonna. When he's going to pop up, because he's got a couple things to talk about. But right off the rip, you guys see we got a couple common things going on here. Things that are in the popular, actually the whole stab-proof hoodie thing that Chantel's going to talk to us about, that's something I hadn't heard about, so I'm glad that she's bringing that to us. And I think we'll have something nice to say. Not nice, but there'll be a lot of stuff to talk about with that stab-proof hoodie thing. But, so... I wanted, John McCain's being buried, and I'm talking to Chantel, about John McCain, and John McCain doesn't mean anything to Chantel, being from England, and I understand that. And really quick, I just want to kind of summarize the little bit that I know about him. He's being laid to rest, and I know it's this thing we don't like to talk ill of the dead. Right. And I don't. What's funny is I hadn't.
All dead becomes like saints, don't they?
Yeah, and that's a problem, and I want to get into that, but first. I'll explain to you who John McCain is to us in the United States. Obviously, he was a senator. Mm-hmm. I think he held his seat, or he was in Congress because he was a congressman and then a senator for at least 39 years. Right, so this guy's been in government a long time. Mm-hmm. Some people regard him as a hero, a war hero. He was shot down over Vietnam.
Wow.
He was held captive for 5 years, tortured brutally. He could have gotten out, and I'm kind of getting into some of his redeeming qualities. I'm going to start off with the redeeming qualities, and then I'm going to kind of paint a different picture as we go on, which is, to me, the relevant stuff. But he was shot down over Vietnam. He could have left early, but we have a rule in our military, or I don't know if it's a rule. It might be what is the Geneva Convention, that POWs are released as they're captured, right? So if you were captured before me, you get out before me. That's how that works. Now, the Vietnamese found out that his father was an admiral in the Navy, because John McCain was a sailor. He was in the U.S. Navy. He was a fighter pilot.
Okay.
So they found out that his father was an admiral, and they said, "Oh, you know what? So they're slick. They want to do a good faith. They wanted to let him go early, and from the report is that he said no. That's not how the rules go. There are people who have been here before me, and I'm not going to leave before them just because I've got this special advantage that they don't." Mm-hmm. So he stuck around. They tortured. They beat the crap. People, I don't know if people knew this, but he could not really pick up his arms really past, the perpendicular, or I should say, perpendicular to the deck, so to speak. So really much past the 90-degree angle. because his bones were, when he crash landed and they never really treated him medically. They denied him treatment for so long that by the time they went to go set his arm, they couldn't. His arms had started to kind of fuse in that position, so they just put cast really around all his broken body parts,
right?
And they healed the way they healed. So,
can you heal like that without surgery?
He did. He did, and that's why, like I said, a lot of people would see him. He's very stiff. He never, like, he wouldn't move. A lot of us, when we speak, just like I'm doing right now, we make hand gestures. You would see him in the hall of the Senate, or the well of the Senate, and he really couldn't, do a lot. He was kind of stiff, and it was because of those injuries that he suffered. He broke most major bones in his body, because not only did he crash land, he was beat up, tortured, especially when he said, "Oh, I'm gonna defy you guys, and I'm gonna stay here. I'm not gonna let you use me as a pawn." Oh, they beat the shit out of him. It was a miserable, and he took that for 5 years. And they actually said he tried to kill himself at one point. So people consider him a hero, right? I don't know about the hero title. I don't like throwing that around too much. I don't know. But one thing I will say is that he went through some hard stuff, and for the most part, he kept his dignity. He
sounds brave.
He does sound brave. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, we all have to ask ourselves that question. Would we do the same thing? Would we sit there and say, yeah, I could go home back? And mind you, he had a wife, and I believe he had kids. I'm not 100% sure, but I know he had a wife. And he could have been saying, I want to go home to my wife. I'm a young man. Forget this. I'll use my privilege. But he didn't. So, I give him credit for that. I give him credit. He also, when we started torturing people, and we talked about torture on this program before, he was one of the first people, obviously, to come out and say, I'm not for torture. He's like, trust me, torture doesn't work. They tortured the shit out of me. And I never really told them anything. I didn't know anything. And, I would have told them anything just for them to stop. So I lied to them all the time, basically. So he was anti-torture in the Iraq War. And another big thing for me is the fact that he defended Obama's dignity during the 2008 election. He was the Republican candidate. And there were people that liked, Barack Obama's a secret Muslim. Barack Obama is an Arab. And there's actually one famous scene, and we've all seen it probably a million times, is where, he... basically a lady at a town hall type meeting said, I think he's an Arab. I don't trust him. He takes the microphone because he's got a wireless microphone. He's walking around, takes the microphone. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I think he's a good man. He's like, I disagree with him on pretty much almost everything. But I think he loves it. He cares about his country. He's a good family man. And that is why John McCain wasn't the president, right? Never became the president, because he actually treated Barack Obama like a human being. So
because he stood up for him and done the honorable thing,
right?
People went against him.
No, people didn't really go against him, I would say, but they didn't have any enthusiasm.
Right. Okay.
You got to understand that the hardcore right in this country, the racists, they're not gonna get up. Like a lot of us in our communities and the people of color, right? We don't get excited for, we didn't get excited for Hillary. We got excited for Barack. And I'm not trying to say that it's apples to apples here, but we needed to get pumped. We're like anybody, right? I mean, like anything, for baseball, how many baseball games there are in a year? I think it's over 100 games a year. Some of us just don't get around to watching a 3-hour baseball game every day or every other day. But when the playoffs get here, I'm tuning in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like when it gets exciting.
It's got to get exciting, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm a casual Yankee fan. Now, I know, for instance, my mother-in-law probably watches more games than I ever have. She watches almost, because she's home at that time of day, usually when the games are popping off, between 1 7 p.m., and she watches them, religiously. She tells me about, the players, what's going on. But anyway, she's hardcore. The voting population is not as hardcore, all the time. So,
yeah, we don't live and breathe politics to most of us anyway, do we, really?
Right. Now, well, Cliff Bravo, I don't want to spoil it. He was a decent guy in some regard, right? Because Cliff Bravo says, that John McCain is a gentleman's gentleman. And you know what? Nowadays, yeah, he's a true. Look at what we got going on now. He's a hell of a statesman compared to what we're looking at now. Now we got basically straight up white supremacists, running our country. You know, and John McCain, I don't necessarily have enough evidence to prove that he was a racist like that. Although now I'm getting to the negative side. He did oppose the Martin Luther King holiday. You know, when he was a congressman in I want to say 1988, they voted that you know, that's how long our holiday. You know, Martin Luther King's an important holiday in this country. You know, he's actually there's only two people we celebrate by name in this country in a national federal holiday. That's freaking Christopher Columbus, and freaking Martin Luther King. Right? The two people that we actually by name celebrate. So that shows you how big. And Columbus is a piece of shit and a terrorist. So to me, there's only one true, you know, freaking hero that we celebrate in this country by name. So John McCain was one of let's see, Congress. The vote was 390 something to like 90 no. And John McCain was one of the no's.
What was his reasons for the no?
I didn't go back and do the history, but if I had to guess, just pulling it out of the side of my neck right now, I think it would be too divisive. Right, we need to move forward. Right, this, that, and I don't know why I'm making that accent because that's not how he sounded. But yeah, that's the game that they play. Because now, you know, we want to put Harriet Tubman on our $20 bill. Yeah, I
thought you guys had already done that. In fact,
no, that we
Is
talked
that
about it.
Being debated.
Yeah, it has to be phased in. It's actually really a really expensive process. Yada yada yada.
I always actually find it funny that you guys want to put Harriet Tubman on your $20 bill when most people now it's all like card, right? So it's kind of like you're bringing her in when no one really checks for money anymore.
Oh, we still like our greenbacks, you know what I'm saying, as we call them in the country. I like them for sure. I'm not trying to go to a cashless system. Salute Mills Lane. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, Harriet Tubman, but now that's in question. Do you think under let's just keep it real, you know, under the type of administration that we have now, you know, we're not gonna get Harriet Tubman on the freaking, you know, on the $20 bill. They love, and what's crazy, the fact that we have Andrew Jackson, you know, on the $20 bill. This is a guy who did a death march for the Seminole. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, people. I'm going off top. I'm freestyling. You know, Seminole Indians from Florida marched them all the way across the country to Oklahoma. That's some mileage there, you know, walking, you know, and people died, you know, along the way. They froze, you know, to death. You know, they weren't waiting for nobody. And he defied a court order. He said to the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court said, you can't do this, you know, and he said, well, what army do you have? Right? He told the Supreme Court, basically, you can tell me what to do, but you can't stop me. And Trump is a big fan of Andrew Jackson. Yeah, he loves him some. I'll be honest with you. I would say that he is the second coming of Andrew Jackson. Really, you know, although he tries to say that he's more like Lincoln. You know, and I agree with you, Cliff. And thanks for bringing that around. The one thing about McCain is that over time he changed. Right, in 2008, he talked about you know, how he was wrong to vote against MLK. You know, and he actually spoke in Memphis where MLK was killed. You know, I mean,
is that the only disparaging thing you got to say about him anyway? Because you said a lot of honorable things about him from what I'm learning.
Right, and I'm trying to be nice, but, you know, the guy was a warmonger.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
When he was running in 2008, he was like, yeah, we need to bomb Iran. You know, it's like, are you kidding? We're already in a war. We're in 2 wars. You're talking about opening up a third? I mean, have you know, like I forget what the senator was back in the day, but this is I'll just put the quote out there and let you guys figure out, or some of you may know. But have you no decency, sir? You know, we're already killing people, getting GIs, Americans killed, and you want to start another war in a Muslim majority Muslim country. What you know, and that was the one thing that I always being a guy, especially him being a Vietnam vet, understanding that was a war of choice. We did not have to go to Vietnam.
Yep.
I believe it was illegal, just like the Iraq War was illegal. And I'll tell you what, sometimes I get scared to travel abroad. You know, I got the Marine Corps Eagle, Globe, and Anchor on my arm, as I'm showing Chantel right now. I even have well, I'll let you guys know, I got a crucifix on my arm. Yeah, you guys know for the most part that I'm an atheist. You know what I'm saying? But when the dude was kind of, you know, this crazy white biker dude, he was like, yeah, how about we put the crucifix? At the time, I was like lukewarm, you know, on the whole thing. I'm like, all right, a crucifix in the background ain't gonna hurt, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up Christian, you know what I'm saying? But now it seems kind of silly that I'm an atheist, but I got a freaking crucifix on my arm. But, you know, I got the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor. That's the emblem of the Marine Corps. You know, and I look at it like sometimes I wonder, you know, are some people, if someone said that if I was a war criminal because I participated in the Iraq War, I don't know if I can necessarily argue with you. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to disparage. Obviously, when you go out there, you try to do the most honorable. Hey, you see the enemy, he's shooting at you, you shoot at him. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. It's like running a fair one. Like, we're here now. It's unfair, but you're engaging me. I'm gonna engage you. I just want to live, right? I'm trying to go back home. Like John McCain was probably thinking, I want to go back home. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to survive through this shit. I didn't choose. Well, in a way, but again, we did choose to be there. So, but anyways, with John McCain, knowing that we, knowing that we, and I'm sorry, it's a little bit difficult. I have Chantel. Normally, when I have Jizo in here, I don't really look at Jizo. So I'm like paying attention to Chantel and also trying to read, and keep you guys engaged. And I appreciate all the contributions, the comments that you guys make as usual. You guys, I don't have to say that. You guys are part of the show, really. You're contributors. We're the hosts. You guys are the contributors. So
it's cool. I got one eye on my laptop. At the same
good.
time,
Yeah, don't. If you want to look down, it's not. Because obviously you want to look at the person who you're talking to, right? But in this radio world, we got to look. We're multitasking. So with John McCain, he was a warmonger. Always and that's why I'm glad that I'm sorry, but of course I like Barack Obama, but I'm really happy that McCain didn't become the president because he would have us in a third war. Right, we're still in war. We're still in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I think maybe last week, the DOD had the Department of Defense basically says it doesn't look like there's an end date in sight. Basically, essentially, summarizing what they said, it looks like we're gonna be permanently over there. God, with a guy like John McCain in charge, you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace. But you weren't the right person for the right time. So he voted against the MLK. He apologized. He was always a warmonger. He would never apologize for that. That was just his thing. His personal life he had some issues in his personal life. I'm not going to get into them, you know what I'm saying, because we all have them. You know what I mean? And he was never the one talking about, at least from what I understand, he wasn't all about family values. You know what I'm saying? Although he lived a reckless, when he came back from Vietnam, and again, it's real difficult. You came back from Vietnam, you were captured for 5 years, you want to party, you want to have some fun. And John McCain had some fun, let's just say that. Especially being a pilot, you have to make routine flights back and forth so you imagine, I'm taking off from Arizona, I'm landing in Delaware, as soon as I touch down, I'm hitting these bars because I don't have to fly back to Miramar, California for X amount of time.
And I presume he probably suffered from, is it
PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. That's what's crazy. In that time, they didn't talk about PTSD like they do now. That word, that's a modern phrase now. Back in the day, the way they did people from Vietnam was it isn't like it is now. Before I even left Iraq, they told us that if we were feeling some type of way when we got home, like we seen some things, we've been through some stuff, to talk to our friends, to talk to the counselors, and we all came back together. In Vietnam, when you were on the ground, guys cycled in and out separately. So me and you could be in a platoon, we're in the bush, and you're like, I got 90 days left, and I got a year left. So when you went home by yourself.
Right.
So
okay.
if we came home together, you would have been like, oh, Tomas, remember that time, with the kids and all this crazy shit that happened? I could be like, yeah, man, I remember that. We could drink, we could hug it out, cry it out. You know what I mean? But imagine you going back to the world, as they used to call it, and having no one really to share those experiences. And
you wouldn't want to share those experiences either, would you?
Because a lot of people, right, you're talking about a lot of times, how can I tell a civilian that I picked up body parts out of a tree? You know what I mean? Like, I have a friend whose father, who's actually a Marine and went to Vietnam. He's told me stuff he hasn't even told his kids. And the reason why he's told me the stuff is because he knows that I'm a Marine, so I can understand to a degree, although we're, a few generations apart, and he grown crying to me, and I'm trying to console him, he's like, Tomas, what do you just couldn't imagine it, trying to match up body parts to torsos, you know what I mean, by basically looking at the length of an arm and saying, does this one, just, I don't want to get too graphic with it, but shit is crazy, so things were different. So back then, they sent you home, you're all right, yeah, you could be all, your eyes peeled wide open, yeah, I'm fine. And off you go into the world. Drug addicted, PTSD, alcoholic, heroin addict. Just go ahead.
Just completely traumatized.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's that. But, the reality is, at the end of the day, is John McCain is a conservative. He is a right-wing Republican. And for the most part, everything he votes for is going to hurt not only people of color, but most working Americans. You know, so at the end of the day, he is who he is. He voted 82% of the time with Trump. His voting record's out there. 82% of the time. He's got a lifetime score of 22% for civil rights from the ACLU. ACLU is the American Civil Liberties Union. Hopefully I got that all right. But basically they're a non-governmental agency, you know, and they're basically like an NAACP, right? The national NAACP, the national, the Negro advance. I'm effing that up. Oh shit, that's bad. Help me out, research team. Then what is it? Then is it the national? Jesus Christ!
The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Thank you. Damn, that's a mouth load there. You know, what's funny is we rarely, you know, it's so long, right? It's always NAACP.
NAACP.
You know, and you can forget easily, you know, what it is, what it stands for. But so yeah, so he has very poor civil rights grades from those two organizations. I read an article in which, he basically the NAACP would, you know, the local chapters from Arizona, which is where he's a senator from, or was a senator from, they would always invite him to come talk. You know, he's a public figure. Right? Come talk to the people.
Yeah.
You know, talk to your constituents. They live in Arizona. We're not just talking about black people in Alabama. We're talking about black people in Arizona who are card-carrying members of the NAACP. Come talk to his office would always decline. You know, he wouldn't even give them the time of day. Now, to be fair, I heard when he actually did have these, you know, meetings and consultations, whenever they were able to get his ear, he would pay attention and be genuinely concerned with what they said. The thing is, he was a true politician. He understood, if I go to the NAACP, the hardcore right, the alt-right, the extremists, the racists, they are going to have my lunch, right? They're going to paint me as some, you know, I mean, let's keep it real, an end lover. Right, just like they did with JFK. You know, a lot of people don't realize JFK, his Secret Service, they call him an N-word lover behind his back because he talked about, you know, enhancing civil rights.
I guess when someone has an image of you within the public, sometimes you want to keep up appearances, right? You want to keep up a particular narrative because people don't actually understand the nuances of someone's character and personality. And, you know, often to people on the outside, things may not make sense. So, you know, you might deny some of your true self just to try and appease your supporters.
Right. Yeah, and the game, I mean, you will find yourself without a job. Quick, fast, in a hurry. I mean, one day you're a senator, next thing you know, you're unemployed. Now, of course, there's always gigs. These guys, they make connections. Once you're in, you're going to get a cush job somewhere.
Yeah, or write a book.
Right, exactly. Write a book about all your little experiences, and you know, and you don't have to even cite names. Oh, this senator, just like it's almost like salacious.
Yeah,
I knew a senator who would say this about people. You know, who would say this and that about, you know, black people or who had an affair with their staff. You know, and people will just love it. Of course, you'll be a sellout, you know, for putting that stuff out there. You know what I'm saying? And they got a lot of these people have bones to bury themselves. You know what I mean? So they try to offset that by writing these books.
Yeah.
Right? When you read one of these books, if you read something like the Omarosa book, yeah, and sure enough, it jumped to #1. You know, we talked about her.
Have you read the book, Tom?
No, but I noticed that it was a New York Times bestseller, Amazon bestseller. Of course it was going to be. And it doesn't take, to be honest with you, it doesn't take a lot. I'm not going to say it doesn't take a lot to be a, you know, you got to move some units. You know, just like the rap game, like the music game. You know, you got to ship 200,000 off top, day one, you know, to jump up on those lists. But I can't give her, like I said, the only thing I'm interested with her, I want to see pictures, I want to see audio and video. If you have that, I'll believe it. If it's coming out of her mouth, not going to believe a damn thing. So that's where I'm at with her, and I'm not going to contribute anything to her pockets. She's taken enough, to be honest, away from the community of color. You know what I mean? So I'm good with that. So, salute to Couch Talk TV the Couch Talk TV podcast. Thanks for joining us. Salute to Mr. Nozzle, Director Nozzle. You know what I'm saying? We got to talk soon too. I know you want to do some stuff, so yeah, I'm gonna holler at you soon. All right. So John McCain, in summary, has some redeeming qualities. Is a hardcore right winger. most of the stuff. The only thing that he did at the end, his last act of defiance that I give him credit for, was voting down. They wanted to repeal Obamacare. If not for his vote of nay, right, Obamacare would have been repealed.
Okay.
Now, I had a plan to show you guys a bunch of charts, but, shit's been hectic lately, trying to get Chantel, trying to get organized, so I didn't have the graphics, but right off the rip, I'll tell you this. Black people and Latinos, we are the most uninsured, underinsured, healthcare-wise people in the United States. So while John McCain may have not had in his mind, yeah, I'm doing this for those people, right? You know what I mean? He's not. I'm not trying to say he's MLK, you know what I'm saying, or Malcolm X in this regard. He probably did it to shit on Trump, but the reality is effectively he maintained healthcare for a lot of people that we know that look just like us, and poor white people as well, which means just as much to me, you know what I mean, as the people that look like me. Like I'm not the type of, if they look like me, I care about them. If not, fuck them. I don't play that game. That's the game that they play. So he voted no, and Trump's gonna hate him forever. And I don't even know if you saw this, but Trump lowered the flag the day he died, but then the next day it was up. The man hadn't even been buried yet. He's being put to rest today. We have kind of a tradition here. You lower that flag until he's been laid to rest. You bring it down to half staff.
Right, yeah, half mast kind of thing. Yeah.
But he put it up the next day. Of course, the media was buzzing. What's up with that? What's up with that?
Yeah.
They lowered it. And you could tell reluctantly. Trump must fucking do it. Because they're savaging me. You know what I'm saying, on the media. So and he couldn't find a nice word to say about. And no, I don't actually. What's funny is I don't blame Trump. And like, if I don't like someone, don't come to me, right, his arch enemy, and say, what do you have to say about this person? And I think Trump said the right thing for he said the right thing. He said the thing that I would have said, I think, and maybe I'm just as effed up as Trump, but I would have said, yeah, I feel sorry for his family. I know they're hurting, and my thoughts and prayers are with them. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if I got a guy that I don't like, hey, you're not going to force me to say some shit about him that's positive.
And you don't want to say too much, right, and get yourself into trouble that way as well.
Right, exactly. Just keep it short. He said, and the reality is that John McCain's family is hurting. John McCain's gone. Of course, his pain is over. You know what I mean? I could be like, I didn't like him. He didn't like me, and it is what it is, but I feel sorry for his family because I feel that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I actually don't blame Trump in his commentary where he kept it short and sweet. You know what I'm saying? But, again, to finalize here, freaking, I think I'm going to stay, I'm actually coming up with this on the fly. I'm actually making up my mind. Right now, I'm going to stay neutral on John McCain. Right, yeah, and I have to do more reading. I may read a book later on that shows how really either evil or how great he was of a man. But right now, let's call it neutral for me. Even though I think I'm giving him a lot of slack here, I think I'm giving him a hell of a lot of slack. I'm gonna call it neutral. You know what I mean? And we'll see. So.
Well, thank you for that commentary, though, because now I've learned a lot about John McCain, Tom. And of course, yeah. I'm neutral.
Right.
You kind of balanced it up pretty well.
Yeah, I don't want to rip the guy to shreds, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, maybe I'll rip him to shreds offline. No, and you know what? It's up to the audience. It's up to the audience to decide, have their... I don't want to make anyone lean the other... Do the knowledge. Come back to me. Hit me with an email. You guys see my email constantly circling around. Hey, shoot me all the facts. Hey, Tom, I think he was a solid guy because of all this. Mm-hmm. And maybe you haven't done enough research yet. Okay, that's fine. I'm always willing to take in new information and change, just like John McCain to a degree.
And I actually think an important takeaway as well is we can all actually look at our own lives and legacies and what are we going to leave behind and how are people going to think about us whenever we leave this earth, because we don't know when we're going to go.
Right.
And obviously we don't want to talk about that, but I think that's why it's important that we live every moment to the best that we can. Right. So whenever we do, transcend into the afterlife, we hopefully can leave a positive mark to people who we touched in this world.
And that kind of brings me around to the second point of me bringing up John McCain is that we did you say that online or offline? This sainthood. I don't know if we were just talking about. Was that before I went on? Or was that, or before we cut the mics off?
We said it online, I think.
Online.
Yeah.
So this saint, hood that gets put on people after they die. You know, oh yeah, you know, he wasn't that bad of a person, it turns out. And people like Donald Trump understand that. People like Hitler understood that, right? Because years later, decades later, nearly a century later, people are still finding the good in Hitler, finding the good in Mussolini. In oh, hold on a second, we got Jizo calling up. Of course, he's all right, I'm just gonna hang up on him straight up. Stand by, guys, as I try to get Jizo plugged in so he can join the conversation. Shit. I don't think I ever called Jizo from this phone. So here we go. All right, let's mute that. Anyways, I'll bring him in when we're ready here. So there are people that understand how history works, right? And how you're going to have a legion of people that are just going to cleanse your history and make you into a saint when really you were a scumbag. Jizo, you with us?
Yeah, my bad. I called the wrong line.
All right. We're just talking about John McCain right now, kind of finishing up. But and again, there needs to be truth tellers. You know what I mean? That says no. Let's keep it 100, right? What do we say now? Let's keep it a buck. The guy was a POS. He always was, and he always will be. And as long as I'm alive, right, people like us that are going to kick the facts, we're going to let people know. Don't make this man into a saint when really he was a killer and he was a piece of crap. So, and Donald Trump understand, and that's what's sad. When we're all old folks, right? Me, Jizo, the Hun Gang, you know, they're gonna be young people, you know, talking about how great Trump was, how he made America, you know,
great again,
right? Great again, and it was such a great time, and he could do no wrong, you know. D Holla, what up? Freaking, he could no, fuck that. He was a piece of shit, and he deserves to burn in hell. Freaking, I'm kind of channeling Dave Chappelle. I don't know if y'all remember that with the what the hell was it? The Sam Jackson beer. Yes, he deserved to die, and I hope he goes to hell. Freaking, you know, and again, not talking, and like you said about living our lives, we got to do good, right? If we don't want someone getting on a mic, getting on a phone, sitting there saying, "Yo, man, that cat, Tom, man, from WTFU, that dude was a straight fuck. He was fake. He was full of shit." You know what I'm saying? He never lived anything that he was talking about on the mic. Now I gotta go out and live this shit now, cause I'm putting it out there. You know, so I'm obligated. So, because I believe, yeah, you know, people gonna keep it real. I expect nothing less. So, Jizo, you got any comments as we wrap up with John McCain?
Yo, that was Time to Kill. That movie was a Time to Kill.
What movie?
You know, you was just talking about the Samuel Jackson thing.
Oh, what's funny is, yeah, I never saw the movie. I never saw the movie, but I only know it from the Dave Chappelle reference.
Oh, okay, yeah, like I know you was talking about the Dave Chappelle reference when he was doing the he was mocking Samuel Jackson, how he always acts. He's like, "This is how I yell."
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, "No, this is how I act in all my movies." But yeah, like when he was like when you said he deserves to burn in hell, that was You ever saw that movie Time to Kill when Samuel Jackson played? There was this dude that his two daughters that got raped by these white guys, and he came into court and he shot both of them. And then who's the guy that played Samuel Jackson's lawyer? He's a good actor. There's this white dude that played his lawyer, and I think he got him off because you know that would be like impossible to get him off for murder in like real life, but. You know, it was an emotional movie. It was a real good movie. You need to watch that one day. But anyway, What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Good, man. What's good with you? You on the road? You coming back? You coming to the studio?
Yeah, I'll be there in like 12 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that.
All right.
What time y'all started?
6.
Oh, okay, yeah,
6, yeah.
So we'll see you in 30 minutes, Jizo, yeah?
Yeah.
She like a mouse in there? She's telling the house?
No, I'm here. I'm sitting in your seat as well. I've taken over, Jizo.
Yeah, you guys sit on the floor when you come in, all right?
Oh, okay. I can't hear her because maybe some of the audio. I don't
oh,
hear
you can't.
Her,
you can't hear her. Oh, stand by. My bad. Fucking. Well, you're gonna be here soon. I didn't make an adjustment on the mixer because
okay.
Yeah, I didn't expect. How about now?
Can you hear me now, Jizo?
Oh yeah, I hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
I got the mix right now. But yeah. So all right, Jizo. Just come in. You know what I'm saying. We'll see you about an hour, right? Cause
All right, I'll be there, man. You know, I'm out here working hard. It's gonna come from Boston. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll be there in a second.
we got to work on that morning show that you've been wanting to do. Good Morning America with Jizo, airing everywhere at 2 p.m. You know what I'm saying? 2 p.m. Eastern Standard.
I'm gonna have you and Josh and Chantel as my co-host.
All right.
Josh Elliott.
All right.
I'm
Okay.
shouting out to Josh Elliott.
I know that's your people.
All right, I'll be there. I'll be there. All right.
All right, later. All right, so that's Jizo. He's working his way in. He gonna have to sit on the we got a spot for him on the couch. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, so Chantel, I want you to let's just jump into it. I think we beat John McCain. You know, we beat up on him. We gave him his praise and we beat up on him, and we'll just leave it like that. But you wanted to talk about, you were telling me about this when we were in the supermarket earlier, these stab-proof hoodies that are popping off. That the sales are going crazy out in the UK.
Yes.
And where can I get one? You can tell me that afterwards.
So let me just read this straight from the metro.co.uk. So this is the story that just broke on Monday, really. So stab-proof clothing, including hoodies, vests and gloves, are in demand in London following a wave of knife violence in the capital. So we've just peaked more than 100 murders in London this year, which is nothing to be happy about. It's a very sad state of affairs. Mm-hmm. I know it's made international news about the wave of stabbings and youth violence and gang violence that's occurring. And so this company called Blade Runner has made the news because their £80 stab-proof hoodies has risen in volume by 22%. You know, more and more people are going to the website and buying these vests. Now, they're saying that, you know, they don't know exactly who's buying it because, you know, the orders come in and then they just ship them out, essentially. It looks like some of the orders are coming from security personnel and the Metropolitan Police as well. But they do suspect that, you know, regular people, you know, maybe concerned parents or members of gangs are going to the website as well to kind of protect themselves on the streets. Right. And I guess my concern is, it's two-folded, really. If you're a young man on the streets and you're in fear of your life and maybe you're carrying a knife yourself, I can understand that you might want to go out and, you know, have this jacket on, right, to protect yourself from stabbing. And they have the gloves as well to kind of stop your hands from getting cut.
Sure, a lot of times your defensive wounds, right, you're putting your hands out trying to stop that.
But at the same time, it's almost like what I was saying to you earlier. It's like, you know, covering up a deep wound, you know, excusing the metaphor, the pun, with like a Band-Aid, right? It's not getting down to the deep root problem and the deep root causes. And we can't address a problem like this by saying, okay, now we just need, a commercialized company to do well from a profit perspective, because we can't control this rise in violence on our streets where young people are getting killed. And I'm saying that it's more about, can we try and find a solution to stop this rather than what can we do to help the situation that we're in. I can't blame people who, like I say, want to, you know, feel like they need to protect themselves, but something's gone very, very wrong here, you know. And it kind of follows on slightly from a story that I was going to talk about the week before, where Nike was promoting this balaclava hoodie, which they kind of was saying it was part of their ski wear or their sportswear. Right. But a lot of people and a lot of critics were suggesting that it's actually promoting the violence among the youths, because if you're walking down the street and you see a young person with a balaclava on, you know, you're going to feel intimidated, because why are you not showing your face, right? So it's almost like they were trying to capitalize again on this rise in knife crime. And that's what we're seeing at the moment. People are sort of seeing an opportunity to make money and, you know, commercializing something that's so, you know, detrimental right now in the capital. Yeah,
I wish we did. I know, you know, you kind of backed off from wanting to talk about the balaclava story. And as I'm over here, I'm trying to find my old, because, you know, I save all my old graphics or whatever. I had that loaded up last week. But guys, if you don't know, basically it's, you know, the balaclava is like some shit that someone who's going to be skiing or running around in the cold. I mean, you know, basically it's a ski mask, you know what I mean? But this one, it looked like basically like a Young Thug. And when I say Young Thug, I literally mean like the rapper Young Thug. It was a skinny black kid, you know, or black young adult male. You know, couldn't see his face, but he's wearing it. You know, he's tatted up. He had a couple tats. He's wearing a T-shirt. you know, and he's wearing the balaclava or the ski mask, you know, and this, don't get me wrong, this was a nice balaclava. This was, you know, I looked at it like, man, this shit's sweet. You know, it'd be nice to go hiking. Sometimes I work outside in the cold, and I'm like, you know, I could really use something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I mentioned before on a previous show about how, you know, drill music is becoming more and more popular, I should say. And within a lot of those videos, the guys are wearing these kind of balaclava style clothing. So you just literally see their eyes. So it's like they were trying to market on that popularity, when a lot of people were accusing drill to be a part of the problem as well. So you can see where the link would be made.
Right. You know, it's funny because last week, and we've been talking about, you know, culture vultures, you know, people who, but then there's just these, and I guess there's, in a way, they're culture vultures as well, but they just see death, right? Because, you know, what's funny, I haven't been able to really hike this year because the park that I usually go to, it got hit with not a hurricane, we had a crazy storm, and so many trees fell down, they basically were like, that's it, this shit's closed till, you know, September. I think supposedly they're getting ready to open it back up. But so many trees came down. But you know, when I'm out there hiking or whatever, I see these. They're called turkey vultures. Right. You know, these turkey vultures are flying around and looking for death. Right. Who's dead down there? Who's dying? Right. Is there an animal that's wounded? Because I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna get a meal here from an opportune. You know, this is an opportunistic eater. Right. So Nike, you know, to your point, Nike seeing the death, you know what I'm saying, the violence, the destruction that's going on in England, you know, and everywhere, you know, it's not exclusive to England, you know what I'm saying, and saying, yo, we can make some bread off of this. You know what I mean? And you know, because, you know, most kids, what they do, I believe what they do is they take their T-shirt. So you take a black T-shirt, white T-shirt. There's a way to fold it to where you can basically make it into like a mask. That just so basically the where your head comes out would be where your eyes are showing up. There's a certain way I don't think it's very complicated, to be honest with you. But they're looking at it like, man, we could make, you know, so the guys that do have 100, because I believe the balaclava you're talking about, the ski mask, is about I looked it up. It's about $150. You know what I mean?
Expensive, yeah, for sure. But, you know, they'll buy it anyway. Sure,
of course they will. You know, you're buying, you know, $150 pair of sneakers. Why not accessorize it with a nice, you know, to match balaclava? Right now, you're really stunting on them. You know what I mean? By having all that crap. So, yeah. So you got that situation, and you know now you got the stab-proof vest. You know, and to be fair, the stab-proof vests they're always on the market. You know what I mean? You just have to look for them because people who do security work. You know, I think you mentioned. People who do security work would wear that type of thing,
and that's what I mean. You know, it makes sense if you're doing security work and you know you're in a dangerous situation, and so you should be kitted out in a vest. But when now we're seeing young people who are essentially, or their parents, going online thinking that they need to wear it on a day-to-day, that is a warning sign, and that shows that we've reached serious times now, very, very serious times. Right. And that's where we know we've gone too far now. You know, where we should have nipped it in the bud years ago. Right. Because these problems don't just appear. You know, they grow and they develop and they build over the course of years to where we are now. And tying into this story as well, we just had our Notting Hill Carnival, so which is the biggest festival in Europe. And because of the wave in violence that has been happening in the capital, they had these screening arches up. So people that were attending the festival, a lot of people being asked to walk through these arches just to kind of check that if they had any weapons on them. Right. And again, just that kind of has caused a little bit of controversy because it was a profiling situation. You know, when you've got sort of 2 million people going to a festival, of course you can't get every single person to walk through. So the police were having to pick out who they felt might be armed and dangerous. And again, it's kind of like, you know, well, who are they going to pick, right? Who are they going to pick? Are they going to pick, you know, the 20-year-old white woman, or they're going to pick the 20-year-old black boy with a hood on? You know, so again, that causes issues of profiling. And like I said to you earlier today, Tom, like if you had a weapon, you would still find a way to bring it to the festival, or you could give it to someone who doesn't look like they present a threat to the public. Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. So those measures, you know, they're half-hearted, you know, but like you said, you know, and I kind of feel in a way, you know, as you're sitting here telling me you guys, or you feel like you're at the beginning of this, right? And you're like, and what's sad is here in the United States, we're already there. You know, we've been there. As you're talking and I'm looking at you, you're right across from me. Right behind you, I have a piece of armor, right, that's designed to go in backpacks that I bought years ago. I didn't wear it. I didn't put it in my backpack. You know, most modern backpacks have like a laptop pouch, right? So this is designed to slip right into it. The thing weighs like freaking 4 pounds. And when I was going to school, I'm like, I don't really need any more weight. You know what I'm saying? I've also considered buying soft body armor for my daughter's backpack. Right, that's where we're at in the U.S. It's like basically the problem is we look at it like it's never gonna go away. All we can do now is just literally
arm yourself,
arm ourselves,
right.
Armor ourselves in some situations, like with the backpack armor and the freaking the body stabbing, because they're basically, you know, the cat's out of the bag and he ain't or she ain't going back in. You know, basically it's run and hide. We just had a situation where a video gamer. Just shot, right? He lost a Madden game. Now, don't get me wrong. People, when they lose video games, sometimes they go psycho. It's like there are some people that I knew a guy that basically years ago destroyed 3 PlayStations. So these are Sony PlayStations, the old gray ones, the first ones that came out, playing against my buddy NBA Live or NBA Live. Because my buddy would beat the shit out of him, and then they switch up games. Okay, let's play Madden, and he'd beat him in Madden. You know, and yet he would destroy the consoles right then, and that would be like time to go. Oh, I guess it's time to go home. You know what I mean? You destroyed the console. What are we gonna do now? You know, I actually sold the guy a PlayStation that I wasn't using.
And that's one of the things I think that we need to address, why young people are so angry, right? Because a lot of this is coming from anger and fear. So if we really understood, you know, and I speak to people who kind of are affiliated with or know young people who may have been involved in something, and they give me first-hand knowledge of some of the reasons why, you know, these young people are getting into gangs, and it's not always because they want to. Sometimes they're being forced to. Right. But when you watch the media, the mainstream media, and they have their debates, they seem to be clueless as to the actual real reasons. And it's like, if you don't understand the real reasons, you're not going to find any tangible solutions. You're just going to be like, okay, let's have more police on the streets. Right. Let's have more stop and search. You know, let's have more of these, you know, armored clothing on the streets, but it's not actually doing anything to solve anything, and that's a problem. Right.
It's basically, it's like we almost have to accept, and I think one of the biggest problems is prospects of the young people. Right. We basically saw what happened in Egypt. Right. You know, a lot of people, you know, we kind of moved on from that, right? But what they called that year the Arab Spring, and I disagree. And let me just put it out there politically, I disagree with the way Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton handled those Arab Springs, right? Those uprisings in those countries. You know, you had Libya, you had Egypt, you know, you had Syria, but Syria was a different game, you know, and we're caught up in that now. Basically, we waited to a point where the fervor got so high where we said, okay, we're going to support the rebels. And to me, it's like, nah, you guys figure that shit out. When you figure out you figure out what you got to do, you know, then that's how the United States should handle it. Then we'll talk to whoever's still standing. And don't get it twisted. You know, if you don't want to play ball with us, then all right, then we'll be enemies. If we were friends before, we'll be enemies now. You know what I mean? But we should have not have intervened. But going back to Egypt, what was happening? You're talking about unemployment of young people. You know, 70%. No one's got a job. No one's got a few. When you don't have a job, you can't even think about the future. You know what I mean? You know, we talked about, you know, Yvette Carnell and having too much aspiration, right? Without anything solid behind it. You know, you want to do X, Y, and Z, and you know, and you don't have nothing. You know, get something first and then start thinking about the next level. But these kids that don't even have anything, no work, and not like there was jobs coming around the corner. And that's why a MAGA guy comes in, when I say MAGA, Make America Great, and tells them, oh yeah, I'm going to bring the jobs back. I'm going to do all this. It's you know, their guys are probably saying it's the United States' fault that you don't have a job over here in Egypt. You know, so, but again, when you don't have any prospects, you know, your education, you don't have confidence in it, or you're even seeing, some of us have peers that are going to school, and they're coming back, and they're, like Antonio Moore says, they're driving for Uber. You just got out of college and you're driving for Uber.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, a lot of us have gone to college. We're college educated, and we know firsthand, having a degree, how difficult it can be to get into the career of your dreams, right? And to get onto that ladder. And for the most part, you still need to start from the ground up, you know, and that's with a degree. So, you know, if you don't have that, trying to secure your first job can be so difficult. I mean, I was lucky with my job back in the UK. My very first job, it was actually through my mum. Was, you know, in a shop. She was talking to one of the women in there. She said, you know, my young daughter wants a job, and that's how I managed to get my first job. So through that, I was able to kind of get other positions. But you know, you have employers that are always saying, you know, we want people with experience, and it's kind of like, well, it's a catch-22. Like, how do you expect young people to get the experience if you don't give them that opportunity? And
it's not, sometimes it's not about what you know, it's about who you know.
Who you know, exactly.
Right? You know, and I have a coworker with a similar story. You know, that basically, you know, he was a golf caddy. You know what I mean? But before he got plugged in. Now, don't get me wrong. Kid is nice. You know what I mean? He can pick up anything, and he is good. You know what I mean? But again, you know, that could be any one of us. You know, but can I knock up to you guys came to visit me in my job. You think if you guys knock up on the door, like, yo, I want to come in here. I want to learn. I want to work hard. You know, fill out this application. You know, send a resume. Send your CV. You're not going to get a shot. You know, unless I or someone who you know is going to put you on.
Put a recommendation in.
Exactly. Sure. You know, and it's tough out there for the kids. So I think these kids, you know, and I just sent Jizo a video. I told you about that murder that we all witnessed, you know, freaking in Chicago. It was a point blank shooting of multiple people. You know, I don't know what's possessing people to do this shit, but, you know, Jizo, you plugged in? You got your audio ready?
Yeah, I left my, yo, you lost my headphones, man.
Yo, hold on.
Morning, I forgot to bring my bag. But yeah.
You got headphones on your head right now, right?
Nah, no, my regular headphones. This is the one.
All right, they plugged up?
Yeah, it's good. I'm good.
Okay, cool. Good. So, yeah, man. Sorry, guys. Jizo's closer to the AC, so we picking up a little more hum now that he's here.
Oh, yeah, sorry, man.
It's not. I don't hear it too bad in my headphones, but So yeah, you're right. What's the root cause? I mean, for me, I think it's I don't know what the youth unemployment is in the UK. You know, black youth specifically. You know, because I'm pretty sure that it's not the same for, you know. I'll just guess right now. You know, use my political science knowledge that I have and just say that it's probably worse than it is for white youth. You know, black.
It is worse.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's funny. Once you start to learn the trend lines of this shit, you pretty much know the general basis.
And one thing that we see in the UK, and I don't know if it's the same in America, is that primary school age, right? So up to the age of 11, young black boys do really, really well during that time of education.
Right.
But the changes happen once they reach secondary school, so sort of 11 plus. So that is definitely a critical point in a young boy's life, right? And I think that at that point in time, there's something that's going wrong. There's a misdirection there, and I think that's where the problems need to be solved and tackled. So before they get to the age of 15 or even younger than that, where they're starting to get involved in certain activity that they have no business being involved in, we need to look at what has happened between the age of 10 when you're doing really well, when you probably do have hope and ambition and you know what you want to do with your life and you can see a bright future, to get into a point where it's like, you know, you don't see a future, or your future's bleak, or you start going down a path that's leading to, you know, one of two places that you don't want to go to, really.
Right. And I think, I'll tell you what, just kind of thinking back of my own youth, you know, sometimes when you're young, you're a little naive to things. You know, you can dream, you can hope, you watch TV. You know, as you get older, you start to realize, like, bills, you know, they're not being paid at home. You know, how am I going to pay for my own? How am I going to help my family do this? You know, what? You know, the burden just increases, the weight on your shoulders. You know, especially as you're going from a young man, you know, to becoming a grown man.
I think you make a really good point there, and also just to bring that in, I guess, because this all links to social and economic problems, right, and family structures as well. So if you're, you know, young boy, and you might be at home, and maybe your father's not around, and like you say, you might reach that critical age where you're like, right, I need to be that breadwinner. I need to be that person who provides for my, you know, for my family, because, you know, as a male, you have a natural instinct to want to provide, right? So perhaps that is something that starts to trigger in a young man's psychology.
Sure. You know, because I know you guys have that famous author. She writes what are the books that I'm not into that sci-fi stuff. I don't even know if it's sci-fi, to be honest with you. Not the, what do you call that? With the wizards, the goblins, all that.
Wizard of Oz.
No, I know I'm describing it really badly.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, right?
Okay.
The lady, what's her,
J.K.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
I heard she grew up in abject poverty. I don't know if you know that or not. She's British,
Quite
right?
possibly. Yeah, she's British. Yeah.
I heard that she was poor as hell. Now again, I need to do the background, but I
Yeah.
heard that she was like just living like in the gutter. You know
I doubt it, but
You doubt-
I don't know about the gutter.
I was talking to one of my peoples about that because I for me, you know, I had trouble being creative as a young person, and I think that poverty kind of robs you of your creativity. But then he kind of hit me back and said, nah, not really, because J.K. Rowling, you know what I'm saying, was in poverty, and look at what she's done. Now again, I had to see if she was in the type of poverty that I was living. And, you know, I may just be wrong in general. You know, there are plenty of artists who've come out of poverty, you know, in
And
poverty.
she's just an anomaly as well.
Right.
Like, you know.
Sure, right. And again, it's like other people say, you know, just because she got hers doesn't mean that we're going to get ours, right? If you're a young white lady who writes, or even a young lady in general who writes, I'm going to be the next J.K. Rowling.
And the thing is, if you're living in poverty, yeah, what are you gonna do? Sit at home for a year writing this book, imagining it's gonna become a top bestseller? Are you gonna go on the streets and shot?
Right.
A lot of young people are gonna choose the option of going on the streets and shotting and getting in the trap, because that's the way they're gonna make instant money and living moment by moment. That's all you're gonna think about. So your hope for the future has gone. You know, it takes a different kind of mindset to say, you know what, I'm gonna stay in and write a book. But in the reality of life, when you need money to feed your family, you know, it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult. And that's why you can't actually judge people in these situations as well.
Right. What
Hey,
else,
let me
Gizo?
get in here, damn it.
No, I'm cutting you down.
You guys
Calm down.
over,
I'm going to pot you down.
guys over talking me. Nah, I'm only playing. But yo, I wanted to say that, yeah, creativity. Was y'all talking about creativity? I'm sorry, I've been up too long.
Oh, you want to jump in?
No, but I know what you're saying. Creativity with the kids in the that's poor. I heard that like kids don't do good when they don't have like food. You know what I mean? Like when you're hungry, you can't think. So
Right.
that's one thing that you know, with these after school programs and just like, you know, these free lunch programs at these public schools that, you know, they say, yo, and I know some places I don't know if they're taking them out in some places, but yeah, they was like, if kids can't eat, they can't be creative.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So
That's
that's
true.
that's a major thing right there. So that's why, you know, I praise people like LeBron that's doing that school where he's going to get them
Lunch.
He's gonna get them lunch.
You
He's
need to
gonna
have
get
a
them
good
bikes.
nutrition.
Yeah,
And
nutrition.
it's funny, we
yeah.
was talking about this earlier today, because you took me to the grocery store and we
Right.
were talking about the prices, and I was like, wow, like what I brought at the grocery store and what I paid, and the fact that it even cost more than liquor earlier as well. That was mad. But then we were
What's the
saying
liquor spot. What the fuck?
Yeah, you're getting ready for your what you call it? Your
Cookout.
your cookout. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know you don't like beer, so you know she got that with that you want to save it for a surprise.
What kind of liquor you drink? Chantel, what type?
Jamaican, some overproof.
Some Jamaican rum shit.
What's up with that overproof? Y'all mess with that overproof, man? What was the brand of it? Ray
nephew.
Nephew?
Ray
Oh,
nephew.
I think I heard of that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that dark? That's that brand?
Nah, it's light. It's light.
But we was talking about the fact that, you know, even the nutritional value, right? But then the prices you have to pay for that, and
Right.
that all adds to, you know, your lifestyle and how you're going to think creatively and productively as well. You know?
Absolutely, and even your behavior. You know, I was listening to Uncle Joe. You know, there's a guy who me and Gizo listen to, Joe Madison, the Black Eagle. But Joe Madison was saying that he read a study, and I need now. I'm glad I reminded myself. I need to look it up. But he was like, this: how cops eat, right? Does it make them more aggressive because they're eating poorly, right? These are guys who are, you know. They're just like we do. You know, we were busy today, so we had to go get some fast food. But these guys are eating. I put it out there. Yeah, Chantel had Burger King. All
Tom
right,
took
and
me
so
to
did I.
Burger King.
Yeah, all right,
Ah.
hey, you know, since she's royalty, you know, I mean, she's the queen of WTFU. You know, I had to take her to go see the king. You know, so
I said to Tom, the only way is up now, right?
yeah, right, exactly. You know, so maybe tomorrow we'll go have some Irish food.
You gotta eat that
McDonald's.
sweet greens, man.
We're going Irish tomorrow. What's that?
You gotta eat that sweet greens. Y'all never had
Sweet
sweet
greens?
greens?
Nah.
They don't even got that in Connecticut. I had it in Boston today. It's like a spot you could order like salads, like organic food. They get them from the local farmers markets, like salmon, you know, chicken. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
chickpeas, all that good shit. Stuff. stuff.
Yeah,
Yo,
don't curse.
but yeah, y'all was talking about what y'all was just talking about before y'all started talking
my
about Burger
God.
King.
Nutrition and
No, nutrition.
But, cops.
The
That's
cops,
what I was bringing up.
Joe
Right,
Madison with the
right,
cops.
they eating sugar.
So
They eating donuts.
It was this dude that was on his show. That's what you talking about that show? Was it a replay? Because I know what you're talking about from several months. It was a cop that's like he's a speaker now, and he does like all these like, speeches, and he was talking about how he's like a nutritional coach or whatever, and he used to be a cop, and he's like cops that eat. You think about it, they're sitting in the car, and you always get the pigs comes from like cops sitting in the car eating donuts all day, getting fat. And he's like, when they get a call and it's a really stressful call, he's like they're eating that food that they just fly off the handle because the food that they're eating makes he was talking about the chemicals in the brain and what they eat make them like just fly off the handle more.
Can I just ask a question? Do cops really sit all day eating donuts, or is that just
no? I think it's a.
I think it's a 50-50 thing because some cops you see they're like built and they can really haul ass, but then you see some cops that get out the car. It's just like a movie. It's stereotypical. Don't make me chase you. Don't and they fat as hell and they trying to run and they get mad because once they start running they sometimes they can't catch the person or the perp. That's why they shoot sometimes.
The thing is that I think with the donuts thing is these guys, they work long shifts. Some of them work overnight, and they go into the coffee, right? You go to the coffee shop, which is the donut shop, Dunkin' Donuts, Tim Hortons if you're up north or whatever, and yeah, you when you're sitting there getting that black coffee, however you take it, regular with milk, and you see them donuts are just freaking looking at you. And you're like, damn, that shit, I could just wash that shit down real quick.
Yeah,
give me a Boston cream. Sometimes I order Boston creams. That's a donut. I don't know if you guys got them up there, but basically Boston cream is a popular donut down here. I get a Boston cream, and I don't even want it. Like I didn't eat. And sometimes I don't even eat them. It's just like, yo, for 69 cents. Why not get that damn thing to wash it down with my iced coffee?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or my energy drink. You know what I'm saying? Like
donuts is crack, man.
Yeah, that sugar's addictive. So
yeah, it's the biggest drug out there.
And that raises your cortisol levels, all this shit. Like you said, it does it makes you have a hormonal response. You know what I mean? But getting back into nutrition, of course, it's important. And like you said, studying. You know what I mean? You cannot study on although they do say to study on an empty stomach for some reason. I've always heard that, but I've tried it.
I cannot focus or concentrate on an empty stomach at all.
They call the kids hangry. Yeah. It's hungry and angry. My kids get hangry. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They be like, yo, man, you all right, man? You need some food? Go
you
eat.
need a Snickers. You're not the same without a Snickers.
Exactly.
But talking about cops real quick and how I know you was talking about how like when cops always talking about my job is dangerous. And you was talking about how my job is even more dangerous statistically because I could die on the road. Coming back from Boston, it was this car flipped over going into Boston. No, I'm like flipped over like it was some Dukes of Hazzard shit. Like stuff. How did it get? It happens every day. But I'm like, I don't know if they died or not. But, the cops didn't even get on the scene, the emergency response unit. So.
That's crazy. You didn't pull over? You ain't do nothing? What'd you do?
We going the other way. You know what I'm saying? Get off your phone, Chantel.
So come on, man. Hey, so yeah, Cliff Bravo, yeah, Boston cream is life, you know what I'm saying? But it also, I guess too much of something could also be death too, right?
Is Boston cream like Krispy Kreme? No.
Well, Boston cream, Krispy Kreme is a company,
right? Yeah.
And a Boston cream is just a style of donut.
It's a style of donut. Okay.
Yeah, usually it's got some filling in it, a creamy filling in it. It's got chocolate on top. Kind of like an eclair. Are you familiar with it? Eclair,
yeah,
but that's basically an elongated. Now we're getting into donut science over here and shit, but maybe I'll go have one later. Anyways, let's have donuts and go beat some people up afterward.
Oh,
but so all right, so yeah, you're right, Chantel. We at the end of the day we got to dig into the core, and but don't get me wrong, parents are going to be concerned. If I had a young male and there was a stabbing epidemic, I'd look at like $80, or 80 pounds, was it?
Yeah.
As a drop in the bucket. Hey, put this shit on. You know what I mean?
I would buy it for my, if I had a son, I would have to probably buy it for my son.
Sure.
Because, your son could be an innocent child just on the street and just get caught up, and you want to preserve and protect your child's life, of course.
Right. Look at the situation we had in New York City. Rich was just talking about it a couple days ago because they're arresting a lot of people. With this kid, I forget his name. I think it's June or Junior. He was known as. I forget his last name. But yeah, they're arresting all these people that basically they drag. It was a mistaken identity. They dragged this kid out of a bodega in the Bronx, as we talked about before, and they stabbed him to death. They slashed him, then stabbed him to death, and he tried to walk to the hospital and died right there out in the middle of the street. Shit's crazy, so, the protective gear. And again, our kids play sports and we kind of look at it like that. My daughter plays softball. She's got a helmet. It's $80. You know what I mean? My boss's son plays baseball, which is it is a dangerous sport. You get hit in the ball, get hit in the chest with a line drive. Yo, your ticker, it's a wrap for a young kid, for most people. So he actually has a protective shirt that actually protects. It's like a thick padding that protects his heart. You know what I mean? That wasn't around when I was a kid. You know what I mean? But I'm sure if my dad could afford it, he would say, yeah, get a shirt.
I wonder if that hoodie would have protect that dude that got stabbed up in the Bronx. Rest in peace.
Yeah, I mean, they did it looked like they slashed his neck, but he probably took a couple stab punctures to the torso.
Yeah.
And that could have helped.
I mean, those were machetes, so I don't know if
they were slashing at him, which is tough, but that whole thing is tragic. So, but yeah, we got to get down to the core. Maybe we need to people like us need to be big brothers and big sisters to these people. It's a difficult thing because they're coming from backgrounds that that we can't even imagine. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes when I don't want to compare it to like a dog at the pound, right? I'm not trying to compare human beings to a dog at the pound, but a lot of times when you go to basically embrace an animal. And it could be humans. We're animals as well. We have backgrounds. You know what I mean? You go and take this kid in. You know what I mean? You don't really know what he's been through. You don't know what he's seen. It happens a lot. And again, I know it's a bad compare. I'm not trying to compare human beings to dogs at a pound. All right, I just need to explicitly state that. You know what I mean? Jesus on some DMX. But it is. I saw a situation years ago where a guy was kind of a big brother to and what wound up happening, he used to have these. Now, he had like $1 million house. He had a safe, and he's having these kids over all the time. They're hanging out. He's giving them a glimpse of the good life because they're from the hood. Well, they came back, killed him and his wife, and took the damn safe.
What?
You know what I mean? This was a guy who was like a father to them.
In New Haven?
No, this wasn't. This was somewhere in the country. You know what I mean? This happened years ago, and I'm like, damn, open up your house to these kids. And they just fucking kill you. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy, but somehow we got to make a connection to these youths, somehow, some way, to try to get to the bottom of this shit because it's ridiculous. Whether it's Chicago, it's London,
Y'all talked about that Chicago? Shit?
Oh no, I didn't really talk about it, but we know what the situation is in Chicago. It's crazy,
That dude that he made sure he wasn't getting hit. He like climbed over
he used people as human shields.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like climbing like a roach, like in a hole. He's like trying to dig in the. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. So, kind of transitioning over. Actually, it's kind of a downer on that one. But let's move to something positive now. I don't know if this is necessarily positive, but a couple days ago, and I know this is out there. People have talked about it already. But the NYPD, right? They are gonna get. It's very simple. If you help them apprehend a suspect, they're going to give you $500. Now, on this program, we talked about policing our own communities. Now, this throws kind of a monkey wrench into the game, right? Or at least food for thought, something we need to consider. If we can't police our own neighborhoods, can we help the police? Can we help the police our neighborhoods? Can we enhance the service that they're supposed to provide to us as citizens? Now, what are we thinking out there? I'm going to jump in and get that. Is it about what really bothers me is that it shouldn't be about the money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not right now willing to jump in and help a police officer. You know what I'm saying? Because of the general attitude that a lot of people have, and even my own attitudes toward police that I have. But if I could, I was thinking about it, and I was talking to you, Chantel, about it. It's like if I could, and Gizo, if I could save a person. You're right, because I'm essentially saving them from themselves. They're not going to stop. The cops oftentimes are not, when they're being overpowered, as they're being overpowered, they're thinking lethal, right? I got to go lethal here. I'm reaching for my taser. If the pepper spray doesn't work, I'm going to taser him. Sometimes, but the thing is, you don't get to escalate that. A lot of times when someone's coming at you hard, you don't get to say, I'm going to try option one. I'm going to go they're going for their pistols.
That's kind of tricky, though, because say if you get into the mix and then it's at that point where, like you said, the cops don't. Some of them might be fat, and they start to run the suspect, and then you try to you see it going down, and you know that maybe this guy did something wrong. And they stop him, oh, I'm gonna shoot. and then you like, what, do I stop him? You gonna shoot? Like, you know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
if you say you live in the hood, say you like, you stopping somebody, be like, yo, you gonna help the cops catch my cousin or my brother? Oh, okay, watch your back, for $500, or but then you like, okay, so maybe I can help them from getting shot or killed by the cops if I help them, get caught, by restraining them. But it's like,
I get the initiative, but I don't think that's the right intention. I feel like if you're a citizen on the street and you see something happening and you feel compelled to get involved, then you should just get involved, not because you feel like, oh, I'm going to get $500 at the end of it, because at the end of the day, you might even get involved in something and it might cost you your life. Like, for example, if I was on the street and I saw like a man beating up a woman, like, because I find something like that so heinous, I feel like I would just automatically try and help that woman out.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Regardless of thinking, oh, I'm going to get, some kind of monetary reward for it. Like, you should just be trying to do certain things as a concerned citizen. So I don't really get this whole, like, help us and we're going to pay you for it.
Right.
I mean, how do they know that people might not even start setting up certain instant things to happen
Also, it could come up
to become the the rescuer?
So when we go to NYC tomorrow, right, because actually tomorrow we're well, Gizo, are you still on for that to go to the spot
SOBs?
Yeah
you didn't hit me I was going to ask you what's going on with that.
Yeah, so tomorrow we're gonna my brother-in-law, he raps or whatever, he's gonna be doing a little show at SOBs in Manhattan. I don't know if there's more than one or not, but I know it's in Manhattan, the SOBs that's out there. But yeah, we're still on for that. I just confirmed, you know what I'm saying?
What time is that?
I got to go to the website, you know what I'm saying? Because we got to print out some free tickets or some shit like that.
It's in the evening, though, right?
Yeah, I want to say, I remember doors opened up at 7, so,
okay.
yeah, so around that time. But anyway, so when we go to the city tomorrow, right, you know what I mean? I don't know, it's difficult because if I go to assault Chantel, right, and I'm assaulting her until the cops come, like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm getting arrested. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if there's a possible way to come up, you know what I'm saying, like off of the whole thing.
Yeah, but maybe you're not scared about getting arrested because you're going to get $250 at the end because you split it with your partner that, got involved.
Yeah, things got to get real bad to be setting up those type of scenarios. But Jess Var, and thank you for joining us, says snitches get stitches. Is that the same? Basically, it's the same type of mentality, right? And some people may say you're worse than a snitch, man. You helped put me directly behind bars.
Yeah, because they're gonna see your face and they might come after you, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
man.
what I was saying. Like,
I don't know.
You would have to not be from that hood. It would just have to be like a downtown Manhattan thing.
No, but you're just you could just be coming out, on your road in your area, then you see something happening, you get involved, but then you get your $500. But now that person who's been arrested will remember your face and might come after you, not the cop.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, because even if you're in your neighborhood or not, they're gonna remember your face. And I mean, but say if you're not in your area where you live at, and you grab a suspect, I mean, they probably could, do the Freedom of Information Act and find find who helped with the arrest, and they're like,
Sure.
okay, I'm gonna get this dude or this chick, you know what I'm saying?
So Mills Lane in the chat room says that if he sees a dude, beating down a woman cop, he's gonna help her by giving her a steak, you know what I'm saying, for her eye. So that we're talking about helping her to stop the swelling. Yeah, hey, I hear you, man. Yeah, it's tough to intervene in these situations, and you know what, and then there's this whole thing of cash bail, like. Maybe how about this? How can we work out something to where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna help you get apprehended, but I'm gonna take the $500 and I'm gonna help bail you out. You know what I'm saying, with the $500. You know what I'm saying? That ain't working either. Y'all like, yo, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? Or actually California. I hadn't planned on talking about this, but California apparently has basically passed some legislation to end cash bail. Right? So I don't know exactly how they're gonna do this. You know what I mean? But because they're realizing that there's so many people in local jails that are waiting, for their trials or whatever to work out, and they're just because they don't have no bail money. You get hit with a $10,000 bail, right? And even that in the United, I don't know how it works in England, Chantel, but in the United States, for the most part, you contact a bail bondsman, you pay him about 10% of what that amount is. So obviously $10,000, $1,000, you give him $1,000. Now that $1,000's gone. You're never seeing it again. He is the one who basically puts up, the rest of the quote-unquote money to get you out. But now he's responsible for you. he's got to make sure you show up to court all the time, or he loses his $10,000. Right, but he gets to make $1,000 just to get you out of jail.
Yeah,
you know, so California's getting away now. So I don't know how your bail system is, how they do everything, you know. But apparently California, and there's been talks about doing it here in Connecticut as well. And like I said, you guys may or may not know, but I did an internship at and I mentioned this before. I did an internship a few years ago at a public defender's office in a town near here. The public defender being you're right. I mean, I know you guys have different terms for your attorneys, your solicitors, but basically public defender is the guy who's going to defend your ass in court, you know, for free. But I did an internship there, and yeah, I talked to people in the lockup. My job was to go down and interview people in the lockup. You know, there were people, you know, in jail for months, you know, basically homeless people, transients, you know, $1,000 bail. They couldn't, they're homeless. They don't have $100 to call up a bail bondsman. They're sitting in jail because they stole the candy bar from CVS.
But to be fair, would they want to come out of jail if they're homeless, though?
I think so, because
to go back on the street.
Yeah, because when you're out there, it's crazy, but there's a level of freedom. They're arguably more free than some of us, right? I got to get up every day and go to work, whether I want to or not, to stay in this enclosure that I call a home. You know what I mean? But when you're homeless, and I you know, and hopefully I'm not being an elitist here. You know what I mean? But I believe there is for some people, and the thing is, because we have shelters, and they're not always filled to capacity. But homeless, the thing is they don't want to live under a certain rule, right? So under the bridge, as long as you know, protect yourself, no one's going to stop you from drinking your little liquor that you know what I'm saying, you've been hustling all day to get your whatever, get your rum, your night train, whatever it is you copped, your Jamaican overproof. You know, you get to sit under that bridge, chill with your homies, you know what I'm saying, or by yourself, you know, and no one will, and you'll basically be left alone, you know, and you're so, right, free of bills, Jeff, or you know. So, but when you're in jail, man, you taking. Let's keep it real. Let's get a little graphic. You're taking shits in front of your homies. You know what I'm saying? Fucking dudes farting. You know, people having sex. Sadly, you know what I'm saying? Freaking a lot of same sex going on in jails and in prisons. Not necessarily jails per se. You know what I mean? Although I have heard of some stuff in some jails, but. You know, so yeah, there is a certain amount of freedom, and yeah, they would like to get back to that. Guy might be sitting there saying, yeah, I'm ready to get back to being on the streets. You know what I'm saying? Because I got my life. I've been used to it. I've been doing it for years. But living in this jail, they making me take showers. You know what I'm saying? Freaking. So it's bizarre. It's sad. You know, and I remember dealing with one guy. This guy had like cellulitis. He basically had a skin infection. He couldn't even afford to take the bus to the town that we were in. He was like, I just walked 10 miles.
Wow.
He's like, I can barely walk. What's funny is he was telling me to tell the attorneys that he wants to go to jail. He said, yo, I don't have money to pay this fine. Just put me in jail. He was like, yo, give me whatever it is. 6 months, 3 months. I'm done with this. I don't want to come back to court. I can barely walk. I need medical attention.
And he might get rehab as well in jail, right?
Right,
Get your rehab and
he could get straight. So he's sitting there saying, yo, put me in, please. I do not want to leave out of here today a free man.
And when they leave jail, you get like about $50, right?
I don't know about that.
I don't know if that's standard state to state.
Yeah, it's not standard. I think a lot of times you get a bus ticket. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and what pisses me off about towns like, and I don't know if I got into this with the whole thing, the K2 Haven, Spice Haven, you know, the overdose that we had. A lot of times we get people from the suburbs, right? You know what I mean? That come when they want to get some action, they want to get some K2, some Spice, some crack, some heroin, cocaine, whatever it is, whatever you want, you got to come to New Haven. You got to go to Bridgeport. You got to go to Stamford. You got to go to Hartford. You know what I mean? You can't go to frickin' the hills of frickin' Connecticut. Ain't nobody nobody has that shit. You know what I mean? So you come to our town to do that shit. No, bring that. I would say, yeah, bring that shit to your own town. See what happens there. Go ahead and stick a needle in your arm and see how fast the state trooper or your local PD's on your ass. You know, and a lot of times, since it's good old boy network, they do catch them, and they say, and they call their mother, they call their uncle, they call you know your kid. Hey, you know, Sonia, you know your kid's over here freaking all high. Come pick him up before I throw his ass in the slammer. And nobody ever has to know about it. That little, you know, Danny boy's been getting fucking high in his car. You know what I mean? Over there in the hills of freaking Connecticut. Or they come to our towns. Now that's one thing that pisses me off. That's a side note. So
check it.
Yeah. So in summary, helping the cops. Oh man, it just.
Nah, I ain't messing with no cops, man.
Yo, man.
I ain't messing with no cops. Nah, I got some cops I know, but for the majority, I ain't trusting no cops.
Chantel, where are you at with it?
I mean, like I say, I feel like if you're compelled to help the cops, if you're compelled to help in any situation, you would anyway. If the money is going to incentivize you to help the cops, that's up to you. But I don't know, like, just become a cop, really. If you want to be actively involved in arrests, become a cop, because you know, it's like, I don't know if you have it over here, like in the UK you have like community police officers, so they don't have the same authority as real cops.
Zimmerman.
But they'll like, you'll see them at like bus stations and stuff. Sometimes they help with like the school children after schools to stop them loitering and that kind of thing. And I just think like, you're still putting yourself in danger. You may as well train up to become a real police officer, get more money, get more clout and credibility than become a community police officer. Like, you've got the same risk, but you're not getting the quote unquote reward. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna score a lot with that. If they're gonna do anything with that, but
if I knew them, like I told you, I know a couple of them. But you remember that dude, that old white dude that he thought he was going to tase the dude, but he shot him.
Yeah.
Shit like stuff like that happens.
Right, and he was like an auxiliary sheriff and
shit. He was like
dude was like 70-something years old, you know, fucking trying to play cop and wind up killing someone for no damn reason. You know what I mean? And got off. You know, right? It was just an accident. You know what I mean? I meant to pull my taser, pulled out my handgun. Yeah. You know, shit happens, right? This is America.
He in jail though, I think.
Did he get back?
I think he is. I'm about to look it up, but don't quote me. I got a 5-minute subject since I came in late. What do you think about this? I know Chantel, you might not really know about this guy that, you know, the primary race down in Florida, between DeSantis and what's the black dude that's running? You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah,
DeSantis and Gillum.
Get him.
Gillum.
So, you know, DeSantis, the white dude, that's the Trumpian, said the last thing we need to do is to monkey this up by trying to embrace a socialist agenda with huge tax increases. So.
Oh, so the dude is black and he.
No. The white dude said this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, his opponent is now going to be Gilliam, which is a black man. So we don't need to monkey this up.
Yeah. So do you? Okay. So I know what I think. A lot of people are saying like, oh, the guy that, you know what I was telling you about, that, you know, gives me work. I ain't gonna say his name, of course. He was like, the media is trying to frame this as a racial animus by claiming this with a racist comment. So do you think he was being racist, or do you think that he was just trying to say monkeying up by messing it up? What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you this. If you support Donald Trump, and again, I want to lay out the caveat. There's, like Meek Mill said, there's levels to this shit. With racism, there's levels to that shit.
Yeah.
You've got, on the low end, you've got your casual racist, right? I mean, he doesn't really go out of his way to be racist, but if someone drops an N-bomb in front of him when talking about a black person, it's not going to ruin his day, right? Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Move up to level 2, a little more aggressive, talks in code, like what you're talking about, and then you get to level 3. I'm only doing 3. I think there's multiple levels. You've got your outright, I'm wearing the hood, KKK, fuck N-words, fuck everybody, fuck this, that, and the third. I don't care, white power, black power, whatever the case is, because like I said, racism comes in all shades, colors, forms, or whatever. It's all the same shit. So, although there is a distinction between the black power movement and the white power movement, let's not get it twisted, you know what I mean? And the bottom line is, when you hear someone say black power, it's like, we're trying to get some. Right, you know, when white power is like, we're trying to keep it, you know what I mean, and have it over everyone, you know. So there's a difference there. I don't want to get it messed up. But so if you're a Trump supporter, you're at least a level 1. Let's call it you're at least right. You don't get bothered if someone is a racist around you, right? You accept Trump's racism, and let's not even play the game that Trump's not a racist. All right, you know, to whoever out, you know, conversation over. You try to come at me saying that, Obama, yo, I'm tuning you out. You know what I mean? If not walking away. Yeah. So you're at least at level 1 if you support Donald Trump. DeSantis is a hardcore Donald Trump supporter. I was meaning to play the ad for you guys. Oh
yeah, it sounded like some kind of like, I heard it on the radio. Yeah,
right.
DeSantis,
This is a guy who his wife, right, is saying, oh, everyone always says that my husband is all Trump, but he's so much more than that. The guy has 2 young kids. One kid is building he's like playing with like these Legos and building blocks, and he was like something to the effect of, "Build that wall," right? That shit's funny to Jizo. You know what I'm saying? Because now we're talking about my people,
Dukes.
so he's like, yo, build that wall, son. That's a great job. He's teaching his other daughter, who's about 3 or 4. He's got a Donald Trump, campaign sign that says Donald Trump, make America great again. And he's like, make America great again. No, so he's teaching his daughter, and meanwhile his wife's doing the voiceover. She's like, oh, but he's so much more than Trump, and this guy is Trump through and through.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say, or to assume at least, that DeSantis is level 3, right? So for your, not your employer, the guy who contracts you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't play that game. You know what I mean?
I know.
The decision, and I don't want to say, he needs to decide for himself what level he's in, because you're in a level. You know what I'm saying? You just need to. Everyone needs to come to terms. And I talked about, I think, Jizo, me and you a year ago, we might have did a podcast where I asked people, come to terms with your own racism. All right. The first, it's like when you need to recover off any drug, off anything that you're obsessed with, you need to come to terms with that. You need to sit there and say to yourself, it's almost like you need to do a rehab, right? Hi, my name is such and such and such, and I'm a racist, right? Right? 'Cause you got people hating don't even know why they hate Barack Obama, right? Can't even articulate it into words. And then when they come up with some shit, it's just totally weak.
Yeah.
Some shit that Donald Trump has already did times 10. You know what I mean? Oh, I don't like when he did this. What about when Donald Trump does it? Oh, well, it's, they get.
Yeah, I don't even think a lot of people know that when they're racist or when they're being racist, they're in denial, or they're actually ignorant, because racism is a form of ignorance. So if you don't even know and recognize something, like, how can you even change it, right? So I think that education needs to be out there. Right. Like you say, there is levels to it. So you might not be out there saying, I want to hang a whatever, but you're doing some passive things, or you've got a certain attitude, a mindset that is racial.
Absolutely. And when I think back, Jizo, sorry to go long-winded on you. When I think back, we think of a lot of the movements, and when I think of Nazi Germany, it wasn't the actors, the bad actors so much. There was only a certain amount of them. It was all the people who sat back and were just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Jewish people. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna go out in the streets and defend these people either. You know what I mean? Like, it was, I hate to say it, but it's the passive ones that actually freaking do the most harm.
They always say, the opposite of doing good is doing nothing.
Yeah.
And it's very, very passive in that way. And a lot of us
I'm sorry, you finishing it? My bad. So that's the same thing that kind of had me like tight and shook at the same time, like when Trump got elected, and I'm looking at how Hitler came to power. But I know you were saying it's more like Mussolini, because that's that's how Hitler, that's who he got his game from. But that's what I always hear Joe Madison say. This is just how Hitler came to power. People thought, oh yeah, he took him for a joke, and he wanted to kill free media, just like Trump is trying to do. He gets mad at April Ryan and people like that are like, or even like, imagine if he could shut down people like us just not getting paid. We just putting facts out there. Oh, you know what? That WTFU, make sure go take a visit to them. Make sure shut their operation down. So stuff.
They could if they wanted to, though, couldn't they? Quite easily, anyone could.
I don't think they could shut us down because this is free. Then we could. Can we sue Tom? Free our First Amendment. Our First Amendment would be violated.
Yeah, get your lawyer on the case.
Yeah, we got to get our lawyer. Legal Shield. Yo, real quick, I made a mistake last show. I just wanted to correct that.
Yo, correct yourself.
Correct myself.
You better come correct.
On the last podcast, I said when we was talking about how old America is, I was talking about my man that went to Italy, and we was talking about how old Italy and all that. America 1776. It was, started.
Yep.
So I said it was 252 years old. It's 242 years old. I had to look at my math. I'm like, wait a minute. It carried the 2 to the 4. So yeah, America is 242 years old. I'm sorry, man.
All right, thanks, man. Happy birthday, belated birthday, America.
Yeah.
Jizo fucked it up.
Yeah.
When's America's birthday? Do you know that at least?
Yeah. Try to put me on the spot. It's July 4th, right?
Yeah.
1776. 1776.
Yeah, and the Marine Corps was actually founded, for those, is actually founded in 1775. Yeah, so we've been around longer than the freaking U.S. But anyways, we were disbanded at one point though. But so all right, Jizo.
Yes.
Final thoughts on this whole
what? Whole what? What?
The issue you raised with this. Going back to DeSantis shit. I haven't even gotten out my. Florida. The soul of Florida is on the line right here.
Yeah,
You've got a black Bernie crat, right? Essentially, he's a Bernie Sanders supported, and then you've got a Trumpanzee, right? Fucking a straight freaking, this guy is all about Trump. We're gonna find out what Florida is made out of in November. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they got like two polar opposites here. And I'm hoping they go for, and don't get me wrong, I'm not 100%, the guy, Gilliam, is about some good stuff, 15-hour minimum wage. I heard he also wants to address the stand your ground stuff down there,
Yeah, you need to, man.
Yeah, DeSantis ain't going to do it. In fact, he'll probably enhance it. He'll probably make it to where if a dude looks at you wrong, you could kill him. You know what I'm saying? Fucking knowing these right-wingers. So, Florida, man, freaking God, I hope you make the right decision because this is going to set up 2020. Right now, to me, the race that I'm watching, there's so many races out there, politically speaking, that are important. But Florida, I'm going to be freaking glued to the TV till that shit comes down. You know what I mean? And I hope Gilliam wins, man. I hope DeSantis gets his ass kicked and fucking and lets all these because basically if he wins, Trump won Florida. That's what it boils down to. So Florida, man, fucking, I'm riding with you, man. I can't pray because I don't believe in that shit, but my thoughts are with you.
You was praying the other night, so
yeah, okay. So let's see here. Moving along here. Holy shit, it's getting late. Thanks, Jizo, for throwing in those couple minute out of nowhere.
Yeah, I had to come with a little something.
Yeah, man. So, lastly, I wanted to get into this story. It happened in Connecticut, and I like to talk about the stuff that, but it of course, I got to talk about stuff that happens in Connecticut. This is, my home state. And you guys, I think you guys have probably talked about this or heard about it, I'm sure, but you had a young lady from Sacred Heart University. I forget her name. To be honest with you, it's not really important, but, she accused two football players, of raping her. Right, because she was scared, and she didn't get raped. She had consensual sex with these two football players, and she was concerned that her man was going to find out and basically leave her. So she decides it's a good idea to go ahead and tell the cops that she was raped by these two guys. What happens? These two guys lose their scholarships. They get kicked out of school. One dude's 30. Me and Chantel were talking on the ride over here talking about how expensive universities are, especially the private ones, really, are in this country. The one kid basically got kicked out of school and owes $30,000, right? He got no degree, no football scholarship, can't play ball anywhere, can't study anywhere. He's in debt because this lady decides, or this young lady decides that she, her relationship with her boyfriend is more important than the lives of these two black students at Sacred Heart. And it was funny is I just realized, as I was telling Chantal, I just realized that that they were black. I didn't know this whole time, as this whole saga had unfolded for like a year or better, that they were black. And to me, it's just another story that shows how the system is weaponized against people of color, specifically in this case black people. My warning, my call to action here is, if we now know that the system, everyone should be awake to this shit. The system is obviously built and it gets utilized against us. Now, do we think that disengaging from that system is going to help? Or do we need to be, obviously you guys know where I'm at with it. We need to be engaging the system. How does the everyday person engage the system? One, by voting. One, by calling up your representatives. One, by essentially freaking making life really uncomfortable for these officials. Like, your phone is, imagine if you're a cop, you're at the university, you're her lawyer, and you're getting phone calls, what I mean, all day long. You can't even operate your business, right? Because there's nothing but phone calls coming into the administrator's office at Sacred Heart. You know what I mean?
I think it's also about guiding the next generation as well. So, like, if you have children, for example, and they're aspiring to get involved in law, you want them to be involved in law, but have a mindset where they can make active, changes for their own community. Don't just get a professional role and like forget where you come from and now just be a part of the system that's in place.
Right.
Actually go in there and shake things up, disrupt it,
Sure.
so that it helps other people, because this is terrible. This is heinous what happened to these two young boys. And like you say, they didn't even mention the color of their skin, as if that didn't play a role in this whole scenario.
Right.
Their reputation and their life is in tatters. What they would have gone through to be accused of rape, that's it now. It's game over for them, really.
I mean, it's insane. And D Holla in the chat room says that the judge should have given her 3 to 5 years. I thought he gave her 5, suspended after a year, right? And yeah, so basically, and she's already served. She's been in jail for a while now, so I think she only owes 3 months. Basically, 3 months from now, she'll be out of jail. Now she was only convicted on a misdemeanor, so it's basically a slap on the wrist type of crime.
Hey, catch me up to speed on a 30-second synopsis. What happened again? I'm sorry. No, I know it was a woman that accused some boys of rape.
Yeah, she accused them of rape. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she didn't want because she let them basically, she had sex with them.
Yeah.
And she didn't want her boyfriend to find out. She figured that some people would have saw what happened, or they would have maybe talked about it. You know how what did it, kiss and tell type shit, right?
Yeah.
Her boyfriend's gonna find out and leave her. You know what I mean? So she decides she's gonna call the cops and freaking say that they raped her instead. But then the cops found out that the story was totally bullshit, and she got charged for filing a false report. So it's a misdemeanor. Yeah, so I think they gave her 5 years suspended after 1. She's been in for about 9 months already because she.
But it makes it so hard for real rape victims as well, and this is why real rape victims find it so hard sometimes to be believed. And we see it even with these historical rape cases, and people ask, why these victims just coming forward, and yada yada yada. And it's women like this that just sets this really, really, really bad example, for real victims, and that's what's so bad about it.
Right, especially now in the Me Too era. You know what I mean? And we're seeing shit pop off left and right. We don't know who to believe. Yeah, but at the same time, I don't want to disbelieve people. You're telling me that, Bill Cosby did X, Y, and Z to you, and you're telling me this elaborate story. Like, damn, you either got an A in creative writing, or this shit really happened to you. You know what I mean? And Gizo and I have daughters, you know what I mean? And we all have mothers. That's the thing. I say that, but it's like we all have mothers, so we don't have to have freaking daughters of the age to understand. You know what I'm saying? Freaking, if your mother comes to you and say, "Hey, such and such did something to me," you gonna believe? You ain't gonna. Mom, are you sure, Mom? Grandma, are you sure this really happened to you? You're gonna be like, "Yo, where's the motherfucker at?" And get the, you know what I'm saying? Fucking
get the scrap.
Get the hashtag right there.
Get the scrap.
See, my hashtag is got the strap. You know what I'm saying? Because I stay strapped like book bags. That's a Jadakiss laugh right there. In case you guys didn't recognize the reference. But yeah, so. You're right, Chantel. I hadn't even thought about that. The what she's doing, what she did essentially. Now, if you go to especially if you go to Sacred Heart, and that's where a lot of the shit happens. Like, oh boy, what are the cops gonna say? Oh, another one from Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's go check this one out, Jim. Yeah, this is a real case. You know what I mean? So it was horrible. But yeah, and what's funny, you're right. If in the chat room, D Holla, if she was If she was black and the boys were white, she would have got 7 to 10 years. We know that. That's facts, right? That's a factual statement right there, right? You destroy these boys had so much going on for them. See the black kids.
Imagine if the boys were white and
that's what D Holla's saying. D Holla's saying,
yeah, and the boys,
exactly. Good. Oh, they had their whole lives ahead of them, and now they're only going to be CFOs instead of CEOs.
But not only that, and I'm not sure if it was D Holla or someone else in the group said something earlier about the hatred within our own, and we were talking about this as well, between minorities and minorities. But I feel like if she was black and they were white, or they were black, there would be so much hate towards that black woman as well. Yeah. So much hate, how vindictive, and shows how black women are, and blah blah blah. So
sure, absolutely. There's the double standard, right? Freaking, you can say, and that's why I hate doing it. People tell me I'm stupid for doing, but looking at the comments in articles, but you get to see the raw. People when they're hiding behind the keyboard. Oh, you could say, and behind a screen name, you could say anything, right? That's why Tom Harrazzo's Tom Harrazzo. That's a real fucking person with a real email address and his face putting it out there. You know, I have to watch my words. I have to think about what I'm going to say. And sometimes I do say shit that I'm sure people find offensive or it may be inaccurate. You know what I'm saying? But that's what happens when you have a show and you don't have a script that goes off of it.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of the shows that I watch, you know, on TV, when they do their opening monologues, they're reading off a teleprompter. That's been written by a staff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We come on, we kicking it. Of course, we do our research. We try to do the best we can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we ain't getting paid for this issue, no.
Well, you ain't. I am.
Where the money at?
Because first I get the checks. You know what I'm saying? I got to check the checks out. You know what I'm saying? And then I got to peel off my one for me.
Yeah, I got to talk to my lawyer, man. Legal Shield. I'm calling him tonight.
You know, again, systematic. It is just another case of how people are using the system against us. We need to engage. Don't run from the system. Run towards the system and say, "Hey, I'm right here." What? You know how I was telling Chantel, I forget what movie it is, when the gangster rolls up on another dude. What's happening now, partner? You know what I mean? There's like there's like some gangster type LA shit. You know what I'm saying? You know,
I think that's Menace to Society.
Menace to Society. So that's what we need. We need to show up to the system. What's happening now? Now we're here. What do you want to do? And we're voting. We're card carriers. We're not gonna back down. You know. And then I just.
You heard? you heard what's going on in South Georgia? How they was trying to
shut the polling.
Yeah, shut the polling places down.
So we have a situation. Real quick, we have a situation. I'm glad Jizo brought this up. We got a situation in this country where, for the first time in the Deep South, we could have 2 black governors, one in Florida, one in Georgia. Yeah. So Jizo just brings this up. They try to shut down polling stations in South Georgia, where guess who lives there? Most of the black people.
Minorities,
you know what I mean? The fix is in.
Wow.
They're seeing what's popping off.
Or they try to say consolidate, same thing.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now you want to consolidate.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And they know people have trouble getting to these polling places anyway, because, you know, first of all, not everybody drives. People work, you know. So, okay, yeah, we're going to just, instead of 10 of them, we're going to probably have like 2 of them, and that's going to cut out like 80% of the vote. You know, I'm just saying, you know, it's probably something like that. But, yeah, it's like, dang, there's so many slick. Just like, what's that guy for Reagan? They was talking about how he was talking about the code. Like, you can't say the N-word, you know.
Yeah, you got to say school busing.
Yeah, busing.
You got to say taxes.
Yeah, taxes,
right?
Yeah.
It's that
what's
code?
That guy name?
That was Lee Atwater.
Yeah, Lee Atwater, man. Yeah, you got to play that like once a month.
Yeah, I should, really, to remind people, that what Lee Atwater was saying about the Republican, basically the Southern strategy. Yeah. Like, we got to captivate these racists, but we can't be outward with it. We got to use code.
He like, don't quote me on this, but you know.
Yeah, he was saying, don't quote me, and they was videotaping him. And it didn't come out, and it didn't come out until, and we talked about this, but it didn't come out to the wife of a reporter. You know, they basically went to her like, you know, we heard that your husband has this recording. You know, and like a true journalist, when you tell a journalist, yo, I want to be off the record, that's serious. The journalists take that serious. Like, yo, all right, I mean, because you got to respect your sources. You know what I mean?
And it's about integrity as well, isn't
absolutely.
it? Yeah.
You know, so if a guy tells you he's going to tell you something in secret and he doesn't want to have it attributed to him, you got to respect that. This tape lied in his closet, in his safe for freaking decades, until luckily his wife owned it, and she said, well, he's dead now. I don't have that basically journalist to source, you know, confidentiality. I'm gonna let it out, you know. So that's, yeah, you're right. I should play that often, but again, I just want to leave you guys with this, some shit that I just found out about. You guys may know about this. 1941, FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Democrat, orders his Attorney General Francis Biddle, basically, and he basically orders him to go after anybody who's engaging in the practice of involuntary servitude, slavery, and peonage. And we're saying, wait a minute, 1941 is when FDR said this. 1941, slavery was outlawed in this country after the Civil War around 1866, 1865. Why the hell is FDR all those years later having to tell his Attorney General frickin' to go after these people that are practicing this stuff? And I was just telling Chantel and Jizo, we were talking about this too, about how basically, you know, they would come up with any way to give using the system. See how they use the system? We're going to give you a ticket. We're going to give you a fine, an infraction, right? This is a legal matter, a criminal liability issue. But we know you don't have no money, but we're going to allow you to work this off. You know what I mean? At the farm, You know what I'm saying? Where you're possibly, right, the plantation where your descendants freaking came from. You
Yeah.
need to work that off in those fields. You need to work that off in the factory. Now, never mind the labor that you're actually going to be providing way out, you know, basically surpasses the cost of what you had to pay for that fine or infraction. So when people tell you, when people tell you freaking, oh, slavery was so long ago, get over it, bullshit. We've been dealing with, or black people have been dealing with slavery-like conditions for freaking up until 1941 and beyond. All right, so we basically, my position is black people haven't even really been free for 100 years yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And fucking,
it's like that movie. You ever saw that movie Mudbound?
Nah, I think you told me about that.
Yeah, it's like two men return home from World War II to work on a farm in rural Mississippi where they struggle to deal with racism and adjusting to life after war. That guy that played Eazy-E, he was like the main character. Mary J. Blige was in it. Well, they got him like all the way. It was a lot of good actors in it. He was one of the main characters, but he was yeah, it's a good movie. It's something like what you're talking about.
Yeah,
they
man.
was going through stuff and yeah.
So guys, vote. That's all I gotta say, man. Get involved.
Vote or die.
Yeah, I mean it's getting to that point. I mean it's getting to that damn point. You know, what's that?
Nah,
No, yeah, we're getting there.
That no dose is getting me.
Oh, all right. Stay up. I know you guys are both tired. I'm tired. I only slept for 4 hours myself, man.
I only slept for 5, and I went to Boston.
You slept for 5? Oh my God, you had it lovely.
Yeah. Oh, why?
All right.
Boston.
Hey. Anyways, yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Thanks for listening to us, and thanks for your contributions. Cliff Bravo, salute to the whole Hung gang, salute to Rich.
Yeah.
Salute to the London gang too. You know, guys, I don't want to confuse. I think a couple weeks ago I was talking about someone was in the chat room. It might have been London Taylor, and I think London Taylor was in Chantel's chat room, and I was referencing him. We always, as of maybe a month or two, we're always simulcasting to both her channel and to you know, Ruckus Radio R live, you know, on YouTube. So, and I always encourage the London gang, please, you know, hey, check out, you know, R&R live and vice versa. You know what I mean?
We putting our stuff up there because people was like, yo, you should put our shit. I mean stuff.
Yeah, I mean we it's all about getting the message to as many platforms, as many, and bringing everyone together, building that coalition.
They was like, yo, you should put your stuff. I'm like, I don't know, I got to talk to the man upstairs, you know.
Yeah, we'll take care of it all. But again, thanks guys. Appreciate you for spending time. I think this is the most time. How long we been on? Hour 53 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Hey, we'll see you guys soon.
We got London in the house.
In the house, yeah.
Hey, good night, guys.